So let's move on to the UFC Fight Night from Milwaukee, UFC on Fox 31. This is the last this is the last fight night on the Fox deal. So it's they're moving over to ESPN Plus in 2019. So it's end of an era. It's going to be Ally Quinta taking on Kevin Lee for the second time. If you guys remember their first fight, Ally Quinta won by decision. It was a pretty solid performance by both guys, but Ally Quinta, he did really well. I was really impressed with him in that fight. And he's been on a tear too. He lost his last fight to Khabib, but there's no shame in that. We know Khabib's the champ. We know he's very dominant. He's tough. I think he's gonna win this fight again, but don't underestimate Kevin Lee. He's been on a tear. He's 6-1 in his last 7 fights, and the only one of those 7 fights that he lost was the one to Tony Ferguson. So both these guys are top of the division. These guys are both very talented. Said the only their losses in the past couple of years is Khabib and Tony Ferguson. These guys are fighting the best of the best, and they're always putting on good performances. And I'm expecting another great fight in this fight. It's hard to pick who it is, but I'm kind of leaning more towards Al. But Kevin Lee has improved a lot. Like I said, he's 6-1 in his last 7 fights. He's made a lot of changes. He's always getting better. So this will be a great fight. On the co-main event is Edson Barboza taking on Dan Hooker. Dan Hooker is on a 4-fight win streak, all finishes, and 3 of them were by knockout. So look for Dan Hooker to get another finish, a knockout. And Edson Barboza, we know he likes to throw down. We know he likes to hunt for the knockout, but he's very crafty, very well-rounded. Edson Barboza has looked good in the past couple years. He is on a 2-fight losing streak, but it's to Kevin Lee and Khabib. So those guys are top-notch fighters, top 5 fighters. So he's still a top 10 guy. He's still up there. So look for Edson to come out and try and make a statement, and same with Dan Hooker. Look for him to try and make a statement and burst onto the scene. He wants to be known as one of those top guys. He wants that, even though he's had a lot of impressive finishes. I don't think he gets the recognition that he deserves. I think this fight he's going to try and make a statement that that he shouldn't be overlooked and that he belongs in the top 5, top 10, top 5. So that'll be a good fight as well. We also have Rob Font taking on Sergio Pettis. Both these guys young. Both of them looked really good when they first got into the UFC, when they burst on the scene. They've had some rough fights now that they're facing tougher competition. They kind of had some ups and downs, both of them. But this fight, I feel like both of them are going to come out. They both like to strike. They're both good on the ground too, but they like to strike. So I'm looking for these guys to throw some leather. Also on the card is Jim Miller versus Charles Oliveira. Jim Miller is 1-4 in his last fights. He's had so many fights in the UFC. He's getting that mileage on his body. He's starting to slow down, and that's a fast division. Those guys are really fast, so it's hard for him to keep up right now. Charles Oliveira is 3-1 in his last 4 fights, so look for him to come out and get another big win under his belt and move up. He finished Clay Guida and Will Brooks in those fights, and that one loss that he had out of those last 4 was Paul Felder. So it was only to a top level guy. Look for him, to get a win. I think he's gonna pull it off and beat Jim Miller. But Jim Miller, he doesn't make it easy for anybody. He grinds out, he wins, and he's so tough and durable. It's gonna be an interesting fight, that one. There's some fun matchups on the prelims as well. We have Jessica Rose Clark taking on Andrea Lee, and there's Drakkar Klose taking on Bobby Green. So those should be fun. So to check those out as well. Good night of fights. We got the Bellator Saturday and the UFC Fight Night. The Bellator on Friday. Salute the Troops card. A lot of good action this weekend, guys. You're not going to want to miss any of it. Thank you guys for tuning in. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, and we'll see you next time. Bye.